Shalom, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah. And once again, you're not under the sounds of the voice of your brother, Kahan Tazadaq, an aggrieved man, the Asiatic, Aboriginal, Hebrew Israelite Moor, an undaunted national. But I'm not here today to talk to you about law. I figured it was time for me to do another video on history, as I am a historian, a man that studies the law, a man of many splendid facets. So there's been a lot of ignorant Edomites going around bad mouthing some of the videos that I actually done a couple years ago. I believe that the last history video that I done was approximately 2 years ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my treasury of books, and I'm going to pull out something, and I'm going to teach you what you do not know. And to those of you that's not aware of this information, you take it to your schools, your universities, and you teach them right knowledge. Because what you're about to hear, you're not going to learn in history class. What you're about to hear, they never taught you in history class. So Tazadaq teach you what they don't teach you in history class. What I'm going to go over here briefly is going to be about some histories on the Neanderthals, the cavemen, the cave dwellers. And what I would like to do, and this is actually not an attack, let me put this out here, this is not an attack on any race, but I just want you to understand, you so-called blacks, you Jakes, which means, the descendants of Jacobs, and you other people of the melanated skin, that you have a wonderful history. In fact, all history derives from yours, except from the history of the cavemen and the cave dwellers, which actually comes from those people that you now refer to as Europeans. So what so-called white scholars have done, Edomites, is they've actually transconfigured sculptures, and many of you so-called whites, you get upset when you hear this kind of information, but it's the truth. You transpose the sculptures and the paintings and these historical artifacts, those books that you didn't burn, and then you actually taught the world lies. And then with the Renaissance, which means rebirth, you reconstructed his story from what was once known as history. But we are prehistoric. In fact, I'm indigenous to this land. My ancestors are indigenous to this land. Many of your ancestors came here in the holds of slave ships, but my ancestors are indigenous to this land. And I'm gonna hit you with something. Many of you so-called Hispanics, and I say so-called because many of you are not Hispanics, many of you are descendants of Edomites. Let me get that straight. I'm gonna tell you straight. If you're so-called Hispanic and you're not of a Negroid descent, one thing that you Hebrew Israelites need to get straight: these so-called Hispanics that's not of Negroid descent, they're not of our nation. They're of the other nation, because that's a mixed seed. And the other thing I would like to point out, prior to these so-called Asians, these Chinese and so on and so forth, coming across the Bering Strait when the land was Pangaea, this northwest and southwest of Mexico was actually a part of what you refer to as Africa. That was before the Great Flood. So later you got some Asians that came across the Bering Strait and mixed with my people, who are actually indigenous to this land, the Asiatics, Hebrew Moors, who are indigenous to this land. And now they have you delusional, thinking that these people that they refer to as red men are the original Native Americans, when my ancestors are the original Native Americans and the original people that you refer to as Indians. So the first thing that I want to, I made a video on that. The first thing I want to do is to go back into this book called The Black Indians. The Black Indians. Invaluable history, so said Alice Walker. And this book, The Black Indians, is by William Lorenz Kent. As you can see on the front, get a close-up on this. Hold the camera still, sister. Hold the camera still. Don't shake the camera. Get a close-up on this. So, as you can see here, these, well, what you refer to today as so-called Negroes, as NBCs, so-called Negroes, blacks, and coloreds. These are the original natives. This is what they look like. Now, when you see the ones with the straight hair and so on and so forth, you're looking at a mixed seed. That's after the so-called Asians came over, you know, on the Bering Strait and mixed in with the original inhabitants of this land. Now, get a close-up on Ben Pickett. Ben Pickett was born to the black Cherokees. Many of you from places like North Carolina, South Carolina, don't know that you're actually descendants of Cherokees, Indians, Native Americans. It shouldn't be that difficult to focus in on that. Many of you don't know this knowledge. So I don't want to go too much in on the so-called black Indians because I actually done a video on that not long ago. Now, I'm going to show you some images of so-called Native American ball players, and these people are black as jet black hair dye. Black as jet black hair dye. Get a close-up on them. I want you to see what the real Native Americans look like. These are the true Moors. M-U-U-R, Moors. And when I say Moor, I'm not talking about anyone of an Islamic persuasion. I'm talking about those of the copper-colored skin and Hebrew necklace. Let's get some more of them. Let's see the texture of their skin. What I'm going to show you next is the Navajo. A Navajo hunting party, and I want you to get a close-up on what these, how dark these Navajos were. See, these are what many of you Edomites will refer to today as niggers. Because you don't know true history, you've been taught his story, which is a collection of lies, and you burn a lot of the historical artifacts. So our people in the world do not know true history. But you're going to get more of that today from Tazadaq Shabe, the Asiatic Aboriginal Hebrew Moor. I'm going to go in now to J.A. Rogers' book. Many of you talk bad about J.A. Rogers. This is called 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro. J.A. Rogers. And we're going to go to the inside cover. I'm going to go to the inside cover, and I'm going to show you that Hitler, you know, him wearing that bird on the top of his head, he got that from Saint Maurice, a so-called black man. And he was a saint because it was descendants of Israelites. It says here, a black champion of Germany and a white one. See, he existed before this Hitler demon. Now, if you look, Saint Maurice is wearing that on his head. And this is why, hold the camera still, sister, don't tilt the camera. This is where Hitler got it from. Get a close-up on that, because I want them to see this. I want them to see this. This is where Hitler got it from. What you're looking at, Saint Maurice. This is where Hitler got it from. Now, I'm going to go into the back of this book. I'm not going to be too long, but I promise to be short. I'm going to show you simple, complacent, racist people that, you know, join, you cowardly join organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, and when you outnumber the so-called black man like 50-1, you're eye gouging and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you where you got your costume from. Because many of you don't know this history. You think that you came up with that? You weren't that intelligent to create anything like that. So, I'm going to go to 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro. And we're going to go to page 51. Let me get my glasses on this one. This is written in small print, so let me get my reading glasses. And it says, speaking at a parade of Negroes brotherhood in Seville, Spain, in 1926, Arthur Schomburg curator of the Carnegie Library, West 135th Street, New York City says, and I quote, "It was only human to wish to examine the garments of the Brotherhood of Negroes after observing the similarity to the white robes and clouds used by the Ku Klux Klan of our own country. To all appearances, the American organization copied." That means the Ku Klux Klan copied the dress of the believers in Yeshua. See, they use the word Christ. Look at what these men are wearing. This is where the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, got it from. You got it from so-called black Israelites. You got this from Israelites. That's where you got your outfits from. Now you're gonna put on our garment and lynch our people in an attire that we create. See, because you're ignorant. And I'm not insulting anyone when I say ignorant. Ignorant simply means you do not know. And the vast majority of you do not know this information because you haven't been taught. You see, when we was actually creating greatness in the sciences and the mathematics and so on and so forth, you was dwelling in caves. Now, what I'm going to do is then I'm going to go into the King James 16:11, and I know you hate that book. What I got here is an authentic King James 16:11 hard-bounded cover, and I'm going to show you your history. So we're going to go to the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 30, and I'm going to show you why you Edomites, and this is not to insult you, I just want to show you the truth, and it's backed up by your inhabitant and the things that you actually have a tendency to conform to, and you still do in modern day. Now, when I go through this, you're going to understand why you love skyscraper buildings, why you like to be working up on the 60th floor, why you like a high-rise apartment, why you like things like skiing way up in the mountains, you know, snowboarding, and so on and so forth. It's because you are the real cave dwellers. You are the real Neanderthals. Not to insult anyone, I'm just giving you history, and I'm going to bring it out. So the first history book we're going to go through is the most valuable one, which is the King James 16:11 Holy Bible. And it says, the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 1. "But now they that are younger than I have me in derision." So what he's saying, he got an Israelite talking here. He said those that are younger than I have me in derision. Because our people existed way before the so-called white race. You cannot trace the so-called white race back beyond 6,000 years. That hasn't been done. But you could keep looking and looking and looking, and you won't find that we're prehistoric. We're pre to you ever writing down in history the so-called black man, the one that you refer to as Negroes, blacks, and color, the Asiatics, the Aboriginals. That's our people. But now you have us in derision, have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dog of my flocks. Why? Because we were so greater. Because we constructed all the pyramids and so on and so forth. And to all of those Egyptologists, the pyramids on this side, and northwest and southwest of Maxim, is older than the ones over there in Egypt. But don't believe me? Go and check it out for yourselves. Verse 2. "Ye whereto might the strength of their hand profit me, in whom old age perish." But let's jump down to the 4th verse, because we're going to show you how you was living, and how when your directors come out with movies like A Quest for Fire and so on and so forth about cave people and them living each other under bushes and all, that's all real history. They put the truth right in front of your face. Verse 4. "Whom cut up Malos by the bushes, and jumpers roots from their meat. They were driven forth from among men. We drove you out of our land because you kept trying to ravish our women, rape our women. So we drove you up into the Caucasus Mountains, into the caves and hillsides of Europe. Some of you traveled there. Many of you traveled there, and you started to call yourself Jews because you was part of the Khazarian Empire. You eventually built your empire there, but don't get it twisted. You're not the original Europeans. The original Europeans was pushed up into places like Hawaii and so on and so forth. Verse 5, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, hindered the nettles, meaning the nest. They were gathered together. They were children of fools, children of abased men. They were viler than the earth. So the scriptures is saying that you live in rocks and caves. Now let's see if we could back that up with any kind of historical research. What are we talking about? We're going to go into the Bible dictionary now. Bible dictionary. And we're going to find out who Esau was. We know that he was Jacob's brother. And it says, Esau. Where is it? Esau, the eldest son of Rebekah, the wife of Isaac. He sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. His twin brother, for a mess of red pottage. Now, where was the pottage red? The pottage was red because it wasn't fully cooked. Because it had blood in it, because it was a medium rare. And to this very day, you still like your food medium rare. Oh, blood coming from. You still do to this very day. Let's read on. And some of you damn jakes are doing that same thing because you bugged out of your damn mind now. For a mess of red pottage. And you can find that in Genesis, the 25th chapter, verse 30 to 33. And in a few passages in the Bible, he's called Edom. Esau, meaning hairy, because you grew a lot of hair, being up in those caves, not getting a lot of sunlight. And Esau means red, because Edomites are not really white, they're red, a derivative of pink. Am I attacking so-called white people? No. I'm giving you right knowledge and true history, because if you knew more, you would actually treat so-called blacks better than you treat them. Let's get some more of this history. So, what was your first inhabitant? Your first inhabitant, Esau, was in Mount Seir. It's in the Bible. Go into King James 16:11. I'm not going to go back into it because I'm going to go into this concordance to the Bible next. So the next book that I'm going to pull is a Bible concordance, the New Compact Bible Dictionary, should I say. The New Compact Bible Dictionary by Alton Bryant. And I'm going to go to page, let me get my reading glasses. I'm going to go to page 532. And we're going to look at Mount Seir. It says Seir, land of the mount, because Edomites have always dwelled in the mountains. It says the land of Seir and Mount Seir are alternate names of the region occupied by the descendants of Edom and Esau, originally called the land of Seir. See Genesis 32, verse 3. Genesis 36, verse 20, 21, and verse 30. Numbers 24 and 18. It was later called Edom. It is a mountainous and extremely rugged country about 100 miles long, extending from south from Moab on both sides of the Abba of the Great Depression, connecting the southern part of the Dead Sea with the Gulf. So, let's get some pictures of that. Get a close-up on this. Get a close-up on this right here, Mount Seir. See, we don't have to make this up. When we say that you were actually the original cave dwellers, the original Neanderthals. Now, I know many of you don't like the Bible, so I'm gonna get you some historical artifacts, and then I'm gonna move right along. See, I mean, this is your dwelling. This is why many Edomites like things like skiing, snowboarding, like to live in high in habitations. Get this right here that I was reading. Get a close up on this in green right here, so they can see I'm not making this up. I want them to see, be able to read this for themselves, that I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. This is all real. What am I giving you? Right knowledge. Why am I doing this? Because the so-called whites do not know the truth, and you so-called blacks damn sure do not know the truth. So the Heavenly Father has raised up a few within your midst that will teach you undisputable, unrefutable truth. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you mad, then make you free. Not set you free, but make you free. The next book I'm going to briefly go into is called Then and Now. A world history of how people live from ancient times to the present. Then and now. Oh, you living it up now. We're going to see how you was living. Let's go back here a little bit, and I'm going to go to page ancient history, prehistory, lives in caves. Let me get my glasses. This is in extremely small print. I'm going to go here to this page, lives in caves, and it says, the use of caves as dwellings were characteristics of Western Europe. Got your ass, boy. Of Western Europe. Now, this is after you migrated there. Especially in what today are France and Spain. Places like Madrid, Spain. And you Frenchmen, oh yeah, oui. Well, we was over here in caves. We that. Were you in caves? We. Okay. So until the end of the Paleolithic period, Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon people took maximum advantage of these natural captivities. Alternate use for the caves were as a resting place where they protected themselves from the cold and damp. You remember what I just read in the scriptures? See that? Let you get a close-up on this. These were your inhabitants. This was your dwelling, and this is why today you still love high places and caves. And you love the cold. You know, sometimes I'm out, I got that damn jacket on and a coat, and I see some Edomites out in shorts. I'm gonna stop right there on that. So, now, a lot of you like to refer to yourselves as sovereign, but I'm gonna tell all Edomites and all of you so-called whites, I want you to look in the camera, I want you to look into my eyes, because if you truly want to be sovereign, you have to go home. This is my land. This is my native's land. This land belongs to the Gadites and the so-called North American Indians, however you want to refer to them as. So, when you read the Bible and get understanding, so-called Negroes is the tribe of Judah. The people in the West Indies is the tribe of Benjamin. The Haitians is the tribe of Levi. Dominicans, the tribe of Simeon. Guatemala to Panama is Zebulun. The so-called Puerto Ricans of Negroid descent. Let me put this in here. All of these people must be of Negroid descent. If you're not of Negroid descent, you're not rocking with us. You're not part of our nation. And many of you Israelites need to start telling that truth. The so-called Cubans of Negroid descent is the tribe of Manasseh. The North American Indians is a tribe of Gad. That's my tribe. The Seminole Indians, Reuben is the tribe of the people from Argentina to Chile, and the people from Colombia to Uruguay is the tribe of Nefertari, all the way down to the so-called Mexicans, who actually happen to be the tribe of Issachar when you read the Bible and get understanding. So what I'm going to do now, before I bring this video to a close, I'm going to, because, you know, a lot of you damn, people of the other nations, you think you're Israelites, and many of you, you're going to find out you're not Israelites. Many of you, you're going to find out they're not our people. Many of you got these people out your camps, you're going to find out that they're not our people. Just because you're so-called black, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Americans, doesn't make you an Israelite. If you're not of Negroid descent, and you're not from our descendancy, you're not of our nation. Now, a lot of these so-called Hispanic people don't get along with Jake because they're not really Israelites. And that's going to hurt many of you, because a lot of these damn Israelites are letting you into their camps. And then you're not really Israelites. That's why some of you people from Mexico, you don't get along with Jake, because you're not an Israelite. Many of you are of a mixed seed. So I'm going to show you how we inhabit that land and what the originals look like, and how some of you worship black gods because you recognize that the so-called blacks was here before anyone. We're ancient in every land. So the next book that I'm going to go into is They Came Before Columbus. That's us. I didn't come. My ancestors was here. Some Israelites came over in the holds of slave ships, but my ancestors, the original Gadites, the original Native Americans, were so-called black people. And they could like that, understand it, believe it or not. The original Native Americans were so-called black people. Skin darker than hair dye, darker than black shoe polish. Some of them jet black, so black they used to call them blue. Now we're going to go into this book, and I'm going to go to page 133. Let me get my reading glasses here. And we're going to look at Negro heads in pre-Christian Mexico. Pre-Christian Mexico. Before you started worshiping the damn Virgin Mary. And many of you, you're going to get death for worshiping the very Virgin of Mary, because that is idolatry. You can't find that anywhere in the scriptures. What you're doing when you worship the Virgin Mary is you're following Roman Catholicism. You're following the Catholic Church, who was actually set up by a so-called black man, Constantine. Now I want you to get a close-up on these pre-Christian era sculptures of so-called black men in Mexico. Why? Because we are the original inhabitants of North, South, and Central America. Wherever you go or wherever you come, we've already been there. You can find traces of us all over this planet. 7,926 square miles. With a circumference of 24,896 square miles. Get some more of this. Let me read what they're saying here. Now, I want you to look at these lips. It says, an African women in pre-Columbian Mexico. Compare a modern Nigerian woman. See, they're going to compare it to an African. They want to link us all to Africans, but we're not Africans. I'm the Gadite brother. See, get a close-up on these images. These are what you refer to as niggas. So-called black people. We're not in your history books, Esau. So we're bringing out right knowledge through our own. And when this is the kind of knowledge that we're going to teach to the youth, because the older generation is a lost generation. Now we're going to go over here. Negroid, Mongoloid mixtures in pre-Columbia. Now this is what happened. They started to mix in with our people. Now, this is how they look when they mixed in. But the original inhabitants were what you refer to as blacks, Negroes, African Americans, and so on and so forth. We're before the Bering Strait. And look how dark this right here. This is a 14th century Mexico, made by mixed texts. Because many of you mixed in with us. That's why many of you are real dark. And many of you, you're going to find out that you're not Israelites. Many of you, you're going to find out that you're mixed seed and your mom mixed. And some of you are going to find out that your father mixed with a so-called black woman and you're not really an Israelite because it's the seed of the father. Let's continue on. We'll go over here to the next page and we're going to get some more of these images. Now, on the right side of the page here, plate 7, it says descendants of black governors of Ecuador. See, we was there. And these guys are black as jet black hair dye. Zumbo. Chieftains. See? Look at it. Close up on these images. They came before Columbus, but many of us was head. See, many of these people, they sell there. But my ancestors was already head. And I contend that you've been lied to. And if you're watching this video and it makes you upset, it's because you can't stomach the truth. How you say it in your movies? You can't handle the truth. Well, you can't handle the truth, Esau. What you all going to do with that? And what you going to do with that? What am I giving you? Right knowledge. What you going to do? You get mad. You're going to turn red. Red as a lobster. You can't do a damn thing about this truth. Because this truth going to break your ass down, boy. And if you don't like it, then go ahead and turn off of the channel. And don't try and charge me with no racism. Charge me with being a truth teacher. Don't worry about the delivery, because I got to come hard to get it right and exact. And don't any of you come reply unless you're going to make a video and reply of something that's worth a reply. Because all you do is come and leave some meaningless damn comment because you can't handle this truth. Every time I put out a historical video, the Edomites get mad and get all blown out of proportion. Now, a lot of you Muslims, many of you don't know that Abu Bakr was a so-called black man. Now, here's a joint of the original Abu Bakr. See, you've all rewritten history, and a lot of you so-called Muslims, you know, you're nothing but descendants of Ottoman Turks. You came into the East and you mixed in with our women. And then you created those people that you see over there today and talking about, oh, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Man, you ain't no damn Ishmaelites. You're not the Ishmaelites. The original Ishmaelites was descendants of Abraham and that woman, that concubine, Hagar. And she was an Ethiopian woman. And he was a so-called black man, an Israelite. So how in the hell are they going to come out looking like you? Get your minds right, boy. So, that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to bring this one to a close. And I trust that you've actually gathered something from this. Just a little more. Bearded Negroes, wanderers in medieval Mexico. Mixed text. This is what they look like right here. What I'm giving you, right knowledge. See, I could take you in. If you haven't seen some of my previous videos, then you go and you tune into the other channel, the Undaunted National, and you look at the history video on that about the first Romans, Greeks, and Chinese and Japanese was black. And you could also go to the other channel, the Deprogrammed Enlightener, and there's a few history videos over there as well that many of you have been giving a thumbs down. The thumbs down is not going to stop the truth from getting out there. You see, you so-called white people, you rule Europe for approximately 200 years. But we rule Europe for approximately 1,000 years. Starting with a so-called black man by the name of Severius Septimius. But you don't know this history. You don't know this history at all. But I'm going to bring it to you. And pretty soon, I'm going to be coming forth with another history video. So to all of you youth out there, you watch this video, you watch it over and over again until you run it. And when they try and teach you some damn nonsense in these damn history classes, don't believe it. Don't believe it. you take them the truth. Hey, I got a video I want you to watch. I got a video I want you, the classroom, to watch with a brother by the name of Tazadaq Shah. He's teaching history. So let this be my history, a science project. So until next time, brothers and sisters, it's your brother Tazadaq signing out. I'm going to say Shalom, Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. I'm going to say Islam to you Moors, Hotep to you Egyptologists, and Assalamu Alaikum to you Muslims. As you see, Universal Indigenous TV is representing, giving love to all people with the melanated skin. See the Egyptologists right here, Hebrew Israelites, Nation of Islam, right here. You're seeing the Moors, and right here, you're seeing the Black Power Conscious Movement, man. Because united, we stand strong. Divided, we're weak. Now you can like that, understand it, believe it or not. But if you want to continue to be divided, you can't be a part of this. Because we're on a come up. Shalom. Peace.